A post of mine on Twitter you may have seen by now. I'll go ahead and show you because it really prefaces this segment here. And it's right here. And I'll read it back to you guys, my audio listeners listening wherever they listen to their podcast or 4cannonsake.com. This is what it says. It says, we know that stress in itself leads to physical health problems. I do wonder how many people became more sick than they need to be of COVID because they bought into fear mongering, thinking that they were going to die. So what I'm saying is, and just so you understand this, we know that stress, the mind is a crazy thing. Munchausen syndrome and all of these illnesses that actually are, medically diagnosed of people that have some sort of issues in their mind, in their body, right, is reacting to such, though there's nothing actually wrong with them. But on the subject of stress and anxiety and all of those subjects, we know that subjects your body to other things and health issues, being a burden on your immune system, having other sort of reactions, becoming more sick. We know that stress in itself, anxiety in itself, leads to physical tolls. So it got me thinking that could this have been worse for a lot of people in terms of their reaction? Because they had bought into basically being scared for their lives. And this is where the failure of the media and journalists and people that hype this up, blue check marks, are. I wonder what that number is, especially considering this. This is coming directly from the CDC, the public health experts, that of which the Facebooks and the YouTubes tell us to listen to. I'm looking at directly at cdc.gov, and they did this study not too long ago. And the title, Underlying Medical Conditions and Severe Illnesses Among 540,667 Adults Hospitalized with the COVID. And the conclusion here, as it states, certain underlying conditions and the number of conditions were associated with severe COVID-19 illnesses. Hypertension, so you know that, high blood pressure and all of that, and disorders of lipid metabolism were of the most frequent, where obesity, diabetes with complication, and anxiety disorders were the strongest risk factors for severe COVID-19 illness. Anxiety disorders. I wonder why. How in the hell is anxiety considered basically part of the comorbidity? It's because of things that which I have just mentioned. And this is something almost nobody is talking about, though it needs to be discussed. You have so many people that are out there scared for their lives. You've seen videos of people in the airplanes with mask and a face shield. And because the guy that's sitting next to them, has no mask or has it down, they're cowering in the corner. Like, that stuff happens to people because they are in legitimate fear. To act as if that fear is not like arbitrary or artificial, you be being disingenuous. Look, the reality is the numbers show the infected fatality rates coming from directly from the WHO put it in the 0.1s to 0.0s in terms of the IFR of this virus. Now, of course, it's going to differ depending on what age group you are in. However, all things included, that's what the IFR is. I've told you the hospitalizations that are associated with this. It's not as nearly as big as what one might think. I have another story that I'm going to cover for y'all that kind of amplifies this idea that there's a lot of people who simply think this is a way more apocalyptic than what it ever was and what it is. But that feeds into people's anxiety, right? Because they think, okay, I got it. I'm going to die. And of course, their body is responding to that. The mind is a very powerful thing. But here's another thing. How many people have gone to the hospital? And we're talking, this is what we're discussing, severe hospitalizations or hospitalizations in general. that didn't need to. Remember, we covered that out of Italy, and the great John Ioannidis of Stanford University was talking about this. And he was like, you had like Italy, which was one of the first big countries to really deal with this. And they were admitting just anybody in a hospital, right? Just admitting everybody. And that in itself caused them to have some resource issues, right? Because you had people that were going there that didn't need to go there, right? So, of course, and this is why I've told y'all, we've covered this before on the channel over the last year. Like, what is considered a hospitalization in the first place? And are the people that are going to the hospital needing to be hospitalized? You can argue that a lot of them don't, but their mind has tricked them into thinking that they do. Now, that's not to say that there aren't people that are going into doctors' offices that need to be there. Of course, there are people that are going that need some legitimate help, and it's surrounding the COVID. What I'm saying is there are people that aren't. And so because you have hyped this up to be something that it simply is not, they are responding as such. So the minute they get in a sniffle, right, they get a symptom like I had yesterday because I was struggling with my allergy. So my face right here just feels just stuffed up and the throat's itching. All right. For some people, it's the COVIDs. It's the COVIDs. Like they would have been up out there. They would have went to the ER or something, urgent care facility. Like, that has to be talked about, especially when the CDC themselves are saying outside of hypertension, and lipid metabolism issues, which are basically at the top of the list, you have obesity, diabetes, and anxiety disorders. That last admission, that anxiety disorders were the strongest risk factors for severe COVID-19 illnesses. You can't act like these people that are in these positions of power, of influence, aren't actually adding to that anxiety as they hype this to be something that it simply is not. And that's not something crazy to say. As I've said before, you can go to the WHO, you can go to the CDC themselves and look at their numbers, look at their hospitalization numbers, look at their death rates and what they tally themselves. And it doesn't match up what the reaction is, right? The reaction has been acting as if this is, something of the upwards of, guaranteed hospitalization, damn near guaranteed death. But it's not. We know that. We know that their own data says that, man. So that's something that I want to put on your mind. And I would love for people to come up with that information, not just with like studies and stuff, though some of them have been done. I'm saying encouraging you, or what I'm trying to attempt to do is encourage you to look into it yourself. Like this sort of mass psychosis thing that we're dealing with is something worth discussing and how that impacts people. Hell, not even just from COVID, from the other things that are happening due to the reaction. We know the mental health issues that are stemming from this, where you just lock people down in some areas and rising in depressions and suicide attempts and domestic violence and all that. Obviously, that has a lot to do with the mind. Do you think that if the public, or rather the government and their media pundits, weren't hyping this up, you didn't see a ticker all the damn time, you think people would have been reacting as they have been? Of course not. You know how I know? Because you didn't do it with Ebola. You didn't do it with swine flu. These were all pandemics and epidemics, some of which were right here. Yeah, some went in other areas, but you remember the Ebola outbreak in Dallas? Motherfuckers wasn't batting the eye. Because it simply wasn't hyped up. And you were more likely to die of Ebola if you got it than you were of COVID. Yet, people went on with their lives. Now, again, this isn't me telling you to get a vaccination, not get a vaccination, or whatever. That's not what I'm telling you. All I'm discussing is the hospitalizations and the reactions to this, I believe, and they're suggesting, CDC, these anxiety issues that may be stemming from other issues with these people that have been diagnosed with that. I'm not saying that. But you don't think it amplifies that? You don't think it amplifies those anxiety issues when the person can't turn on the TV without them like, COVID, we're going to die. Again, I have another story that I'm going to show you guys later that it really speaks to this. How a lot of people even think, even though the statistics don't show that, they've been led to believe that this is something that it's not. And I'm going to show you guys that here in the next segment. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.